I like to often take very few colors, or few things, because that allows the imagination more freedom. I think that's always a good exercise. I think that's what Jack Beeson even once said. I heard him say that if you limit your ideas, you're freer. But if you have ideas, you have to first have an idea. And so you have to be in a good frame of mind, I think, or maybe in a creative frame of mind, because one is not always creative. I mean, you could work every day and maybe not have any creative feelings, and so nothing happens. And then all at once you may go through a phase of being very highly creative. So it is a mysterious kind of occupation. And you never know if you're going to write another piece. I think that's why Haydn always prayed, can I please, may I write, he wrote all those symphonies. Please, God, may I write another symphony. What, in my concept of what a symphony is, like, I wasn't even sure until the Seventh Symphony that I'd written any symphonies, and I never set out to be a symphonist, but I simply expressed myself from a certain point, and I lived through many years of suffering before I wrote my first symphony. So I have a feeling it has to do with growing to a point of knowledge of oneself and the world, and maybe expressing these different things inside. Well, I felt the number 7, I couldn't find a name. I couldn't find a technical name, which I usually had, like music on open strings. I also had a name for that, the 3 Ages of the Samurai, although there were 4 movements. I just thought that was a good title. And when I came to number 7, I had like 54 instruments going simultaneously. It was complex. I couldn't find any title either way. So I then decided, well, maybe this is a symphony. And then I thought, well, if this is a symphony, what about those other pieces with these various names? So I thought, well, maybe. And so I went back, and I didn't name all the pieces symphonies, just the ones that had like 3 or 4 movements that were rather substantial, and that had 2 other names to it that because I could never find the right title for it. And then when CPO brought out Symphonies 7, I think 1 and 4, they have musicologists in Germany, and they're very careful musicologists, write the liner notes. And they asked the head of the Hindemith Institute to write the liner notes. And I thought, oh my heavens, maybe they're not symphonies. I don't know. And then I heard he was going to write them, and I thought, what am I going to do? So then I had a telephone call, and he said, I understand you have 7 symphonies here. I had no idea you'd written symphony or something like this. And I said, well, and I just sort of half bluffed it. I said, yes, those are symphonies. And then I told him that I just discovered that the 7 was a symphony, but I was not 100% sure. And then he had the scores, so he analyzed the symphonies, and I was really surprised when he wrote the notes, because he said he accepted them as symphonies, and he used Mahler's symphonies as a proof that these were symphonies. But then other musicologists, like someone named Brembeck in one of the reviews, said these are true symphonies, of that there is no doubt. Well, that made me feel much better. So I feel I've passed the test. But it wasn't my intention of the first 6 to be symphonies. I just didn't know what they were. by living in Europe as an outsider, which I'm considered, and having had these performances, one is truly a working artist. I don't rely on teaching, and I've been able to earn my living since 1983 from my music. And this is very rare even for a German. It's just strange circumstances. But they say in Germany that I'm very American. And here they've said I'm very German. And others say I'm sort of in the Atlantic. So I don't analyze it. I simply express myself. So. The writing is an evolution. It's not just writing microtones, but rather it's evolving. Even in my, that cantata in 1972, there was one tone that had to be a quarter tone lower. It just had to be. So one hears the microtones, and I think that's no problem because of the evolution of writing the pieces. It's like mathematics. You may have you have the solution, and all the work you do before is in your head, and you find the solution that's going to work the easiest for the player. And that's what I always did. I couldn't find other people who were notating the way I was. I looked for a more beautiful looking notation. In fact, once I went to Darmstadt and I tried to find a notation that was very, ornate and beautiful. But my notation is simple, and it's not very beautiful as such, but it works. And even children, there was a children's orchestra in New Jersey that were able to play the scordatura movement even. So I think that, for me, is the most important thing, or was. And it also then, at the end, without my knowing it, it gives a clarity to the music.